Coming up today on a loaded edition of Philadelphia Eagles. Now, is Jalen Carter ready to take another leap? Is Jordan Davis slimmed up, ready to have a breakout year 3? Kenny Pickett impressing at Eagles OTAs, and I'm going to explain why Saquon Barkley is excited to be a Philadelphia Eagle. A great show on tap. Hope all of you out there had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do want to say thank you to all of the real ones who have hit that sub button here on Eagles. Now, over the weekend, we surpassed 75,000 subscribers, and really, our next monster goal, 100,000. I think that we can get there at some point during the upcoming 2024 season. And when we get there, we enter the stratosphere of some of the most elite channels on all of YouTube, because YouTube will send us that silver plaque to commemorate us getting to 100,000. If you want Eagles content and shows every single day, lock us in today. Let's begin with Jalen Carter here, ready to take a leap. And at Eagles OTAs, he impressed just like he did last year when he was a rookie. But now, Jalen Carter, the 9th overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, is hoping that he can sustain that play for the entire duration of the season, unlike last year when he fell off a little bit at the end of his rookie campaign. Now, it was a really impressive first season in the NFL for Jalen Carter. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 89 flat. He can certainly get better against the run, and I want to see him take that next step as far as his arsenal and his game in stopping the run, because it just allows him to become a more complete player, stay on the field a little bit more, be that 3-down threat, and in turn, that helps out this Eagles defense dramatically. The pass rush grade, excellent with his power, his array of moves, his quickness. Even when he got double teamed early in the year, he was still able to squander and beat those double teams. 85.9, the pass rush grade there. For him to tally 49 pressures as a rookie defensive tackle, I think is very, very impressive. To go alongside 38 hurries, 6 sacks from the interior, again, a really good number. And this all came on him playing just 48% of the snaps, By comparison, Fletcher Cox led all defensive tackles on the Eagles by playing 59% of the snaps last year. So if Jalen Carter can get that 48% number up to 59%, there should be nothing holding him back from that. More stamina, better conditioning. Fletcher Cox has retired. Could we see these numbers from 2023 ratchet up? It seems as though he's off to a good start, because at OTAs, he still has that intimidating size, but he looked a little bit more svelte, a little bit more cut. And this is coming with a normal and full off season. When you're a rookie, not only is it an adjustment to go from playing college football, where you play 12, 13, 14 games, depending on how deep you play in the postseason with the college football playoff and the national championship. Obviously, Jalen Carter, a national champion, but you go from the college football season and you're playing in the Natty in January. But then you have to start getting ready for the NFL Combine. And then after that, you get ready for pre-draft visits. And then it's the NFL Draft. Then it's rookie minicamp and OTAs. Then you have a little bit of a break, 6 weeks before training camp, preseason, regular season comes around. There's not a lot of time to get your head above the surface of the water to just breathe. And now Carter has the opportunity to do that, has a normal offseason, but he also knows what to expect. And I think that's really important going into his sophomore campaign. Also love the mentality that he has going into the 2024 season. Football is my job, he said last week. I'm ready to play 24/7 just like it was in college. I can do it all day long. And he also said, as we noted last week here on the show, very excited to play under Eagles new defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. He said the biggest thing, Carter, that he worked on this offseason, conditioning. You can work on hand placement, pass rush moves, your technique, he said, during practices. and during the season. But the one thing I wanted to hone in on, conditioning, so that he could last the entire season. And with the retirement of Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter can help usher in a new era for this Eagles defense in its entirety, but especially this Eagles defensive line. This is an organization that has had so many premier players play on the defensive line and defensive side of the football. Jalen Carter can be one of those next great faces and great players, and it starts with him being able to sustain for the entire duration of the year, because that is what the greats do. And that is what Fletcher Cox was able to do. And that's why he's one of the best defensive linemen in the history of the Birds. Let's pop up today's poll question. How many sacks will Jalen Carter have in year 2? 6 sacks as a rookie. Does he have more or less? Share your thoughts with me and your predictions down below in the comment section. Now to his defensive tackle running mate in Jordan Davis. Here is a photo of him during the Eagles Autism Challenge, in which a lot of Eagles were on bicycles and doing a lot to raise money for a great cause here. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not somebody who says he's in the best shape of his life. But for a man who is 6'6", 340, who is worn down, who we have questions about whether or not he's a 3-down player, Jordan Davis here looks ready to go. Jordan Davis looks to be in the best shape that he has been in. He looks a little bit thin. I'm not seeing a huge belly or a big gut. And if Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter can both combine to play really well this year, it'll do wonders for this Eagles defense. Here's what Davis had to say after the Bucs loss in the wild card round. And this was a little bit concerning, but at the time I had said I give him credit for admitting this. My body is beat up. I can tell you that for sure. It's a long season, a long grind, but at the end of the day, I know what it takes, and I have to do even more. I'm a man, and I can admit when I'm falling off. I fell off in the last half of the year. I can admit that, but at the end of the day, we're human. We have the ability to change that, the ability to work and get to different platforms we haven't reached yet. I think we'll be able to do that. It takes a lot of faith and a lot of hard work. I get it. When you talk the talk, you got to be able to walk the walk. But for a young player to look himself in the mirror, to take accountability, to understand what he has to get better at, what he has to improve, it all starts there with that self-realization. Us as people, when we make mistakes, we have to be accountable. We have to look ourselves in the mirror. Regardless of how hard that can be to do sometimes, we have to admit our failures, and we have to admit our faults. And Jordan Davis able to do that after year 2. And for Carter and Davis, it comes down to better stamina. It comes down to conditioning. And I would pose this question for both players if they're looking for a source of motivation, if they're trying to figure out what direction they want to go in. Who do you want to be as a football player? Do you want to be remembered as an all-time great? Do you want to be remembered as a bust? There is a finite window in which you can maximize your NFL career, and it can come and go before you know it very quickly in a league that also stands for not for long. So if you do want to be great, it literally starts, because we know you have the talent, you have the size, you have the physical ability. It comes down to your conditioning and being in better shape. And for Carter and Davis, we've seen these glimpses. Last year with Davis, we saw them. These grades and these numbers do check out. But I want to see him playing more than 45% of the snaps like he did last year. I want to see him develop into more of a 3-down player. Overall Pro Football Focus grade at 70.5, that's good. You're supposed to be a better run defender. I want to see those numbers increase from 62.2. The pass rush grade, not bad. You can work on that though. 67.3, 18 pressures, 13 hurries, 2.5 sacks. This is a player who can overwhelm offensive linemen, and we've seen it in highlight reels, but a highlight reel always takes the best plays. And sometimes you could think that an athlete is one of the greatest athletes of all time, but they, in reality, only have a couple of good plays. For Jordan Davis, it's about sustaining that. So if Carter and Davis can put it together, look out. because a lot of teams are starting to emphasize this a lot. You, of course, want to have great edge rushers. That's important. But if you can dominate the interior of the offensive line, we've seen how that can really impact and negatively affect some of the best quarterbacks of all time. Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, to now Patrick Mahomes. And why is that? For quarterbacks, from their standpoint, they drop back, they can see those edge rushers coming. But they can still see the middle area of the field, and they can process what's happening in front of them. You have that pressure coming right in their face, and you muddy up the pocket, and then their feet are a little bit uneven, and they can't see the field because that interior rush is right in their face. That's how you impact those types of players, and that's how you can win the biggest of games against some of the best quarterbacks in the league. And the Eagles have that potential. They have that ability with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. That's why I wanted to highlight those stories here on the show. Will this be a breakout year for Jordan Davis? Another question for the Bird Gang. T for you think he tears it up, or type B for bust. So already here on the show, Jalen Carter ready for a leap. Jordan Davis slimmed up. Still to come, Kenny Pickett impressing at OTAs, and why Saquon Barkley excited to be an Eagle. I'm excited to show off my Cooper DeJean shirts. You can get them now too. Chatsports.com/DeJean. Available in Kelly Green as well as black. The word John. It's really the epitome of Philadelphia. Part of the fabric of this city. So Cooper DeJean, it's a play on words. Chatsports.com/DeJean. Link is hanging out down in the comment section and in the description of this video. QB2 for the Birds, impressing so far during Eagles OTAs, which do continue this week, by the way, and we'll pass along all of the latest Eagles OTA updates here on the show. But for Pickett, looking good, decisive last week. And let's talk about Kenny Pickett for a little while. I think this is a really solid backup quarterback to have. Is he a top-flight starter in this league? Probably not. But he's very experienced. He's played solid ball despite some lackluster circumstances in Pittsburgh. 24 games under his belt, a 14-10 record for an offense that hasn't had good offensive play calling or a great offensive supporting cast. 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, not great. Coming out of Pitt, he was knocked for having smaller hands, but at Pitt, accuracy was one of his strengths. At the NFL level, that is not translated. So that's a little bit of a concern. 62.6% completion percentage through 2 years. But I'll tell you this, Matt Canada, who used to be the Steelers offensive coordinator, is not an OC in this league. So for a young quarterback to be on shaky ground with the bad OC, play caller, play designer, and offensive mind in general, that's going to lead to what we've seen so many times from young quarterbacks in this league. Subpar, suspect, and bad quarterback play. And Kenny Pickett has been kind of average up to this point. A 50-50 touchdown to interception ratio. He has won games, though. 14-10. And if Jalen Hurts were to get hurt, would you have confidence in Pickett to step in and win some ball games? He can do that because he has played a lot. And so far, he seems to be really enjoying his time in Philadelphia. And when we're happy at work, when athletes are happier, when they're at the facility with the team, that can lead to better work performance and better play. I'm a firm believer in that because health and wellness and improving your circumstances and surroundings always lead to better results. Here's what Kenny Pickett had to say about the Eagles because quality of life is a thing. It's been great. Obviously, Jalen's an incredibly talented player. He's played in a similar system. We're kind of all learning this new one together. So the communication back and forth in the quarterback room has been awesome with the quarterbacks coaching us and Kellen Moore. I couldn't ask for a better room, better staff to be working with. Obviously, the talent around this team is pretty special. So it's a great group to be in. And Pickett, I just get the sense, is relieved to be out of Pittsburgh. It was a weird ending for him. He was told he was going to have an opportunity to compete for the starting role. And then what did the Steelers do? They went out and traded for Justin Fields and brought in Russell Wilson. And then Kenny Pickett was left on the outside looking in. He was healthy for the playoff game last year. They went with the hot hand in Mason Rudolph, and it seemed like the relationship between Pickett and Mike Tomlin was a little bit fractured, and then there were some reports about Pickett kind of being a sore loser. You start anew, you have a new opportunity, a new lease on life, and you're just overall a happier cat, and it seems like that is the case right now for Kenny Pickett. And as we know, the Eagles have a long history of backup quarterbacks playing a lot, playing well, and winning big games. From Coy Detmer to A.J. Feely to Jeff Garcia to Michael Vick and Nick Foles. I hope that Jalen Hurts does not get injured. I hope that Jalen Hurts can get back to that 2022 form. But if he does get hurt, you got to be able to have a reliable backup quarterback. So I'm rooting for Kenny Pickett to become that because it's a very important position on a football team. Why is Saquon Barkley excited to be an Eagle? Well, first of all, he's off to a good start in addition to all of the players who we've talked about on today's show because he, one of our Eagles OTAs winners, but he's going from the New York Giants to the Philadelphia Eagles. He got a bag. He's from the Lehigh Valley area, went to Penn State. He played his high school football at Whitehall. All of those are legitimate reasons to be excited about being an Eagle. But also, you think about the football situation for Saquon Barkley. Finally has a stout offensive line to run behind. He has not had that a single season so far in his NFL career because the Giants' offensive line play has been terrible for the last several years. I also think that Jalen Hurts being a dual-threat quarterback can really elevate Saquon Barkley because it forces the defense to think about multiple looks, multiple plays, multiple formations, multiple outcomes for any given play. And for those of you saying, well, Daniel Jones is a dual-threat quarterback. He can run, but he can't really throw. And then also Saquon has an accomplished offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. I think that is going to put Saquon in a position to succeed as a runner, as a pass catcher, as an overall weapon here. And then Saquon, too, has a stacked supporting cast around him that he hasn't had with the New York Giants. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, this offensive line, and Jalen Hurts. No roster talent for the New York Giants has come close to what the Eagles have right now. And then also, you're with the winning organization that goes all in, that is very aggressive, that has a good eye for talent. They've hit on some draft picks. They've hit on free agency. They won a Super Bowl in 2017. They just went back in 2022. You compare that with the New York Giants. The New York Giants are a dysfunctional organization that's been a losing team for quite a while. And for Saquon to say, I feel like a rookie again, you know, it's a very similar situation to what we just got done talking about with Kenny Pickett. It's a new lease on life. It's a new beginning, and that can be recharging for an individual in business, like all of us common people, or in football. And Saquon, the talent is there. If he can stay healthy, I think he ends up having a big couple of years in Philadelphia here. 2023, 14 games played, bad offensive line again, 247 carries, 962 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He was superb in 2022. 295 carries, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And the last 3 years, he's been able to prove that he can stay somewhat healthy, even though during that 2021 campaign, he was a little bit banged up. What I'm excited to see is the dual threat nature to his game, though. And I think that he can honestly be utilized more as a pass catcher than he's been utilized in his Giants career. So with that, I ask you this. Over under 2,000 all-purpose yards this year for Saquon. And I've seen a lot of people say in the comment section, Chase, I don't think he's going to have a big year because of all of the other weapons on this Eagles team. Well, hold on. Look at that Niners team last year. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Christian McCaffrey still had more than 2,000 all-purpose yards. Brock Purdy put up crazy numbers. Ayuk had a career year. George Kittle, one of the best years of his career. And Deebo had more than 1,000 all-purpose yards. So I do think it's possible. What do you think? O for over, U for under. Hope you all are feeling refreshed, recovered from an extended weekend. And I can't wait to get to some more content here throughout this week on Eagles Now because that's what we do.